All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special presentation today. I'm here with Eran Teev. Uri, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, John. Thank you for asking.
You're doing great. Full of energy, ready to go. That's awesome.
Yes, excited.
Very excited. I am too. I am too. And that's because we're going to be talking about an exciting topic, and that's how IT can thrive in the era of SaaS. And we're going to go over a lot of stuff today, but specifically talking about how IT can kind of take those next steps towards SaaS management maturity. Now, a couple of quick housekeeping items. Throughout the course of this presentation, we cannot hear you, we cannot see you. Your mics and cameras are set to mute, but if you do have questions, or things that you want to contribute during the course of this presentation, I encourage you to send those questions through the chat within Zoom. And we're going to have some time at the end of this presentation where we're going to try to go over some of those questions and answers for all of you. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the agenda today. Like I said, we're going to be talking about how IT can thrive in this era of SaaS. But before we can do that, we're going to need to back up a little bit and talk about the history of IT. And it is a complex history, not exactly linear. So we're going to be talking about that and specifically about modern IT's role within managing SaaS today. What does that look like? What are the challenges? And then we're going to start talking through the SaaS management maturity stages. There are 5 challenges in all. And Eran Teev, he's going to be talking us through kind of what each of those look like, how IT can solidify and improve their situation within each of those, maybe advance to the next one. And then we're going to be talking about the importance of building out these strategic relationships across these different departments and levels of management for IT to be able to essentially move up that maturity model. And then, like I said, we're going to wrap it up with some questions and answers at the end. Now, I'm going to introduce our speaker today. Like I said, it is Eran Teev. A couple of quick facts about Uri. He is the CPO and the co-founder here at Torii. He's been invested not just in the issues of SaaS management, but he's been an active member of the tech community for years. He built an engineering center from the ground up at Klarna. He's a member of the Forbes Technology Council, where he offers insight and expertise to those who are trying to navigate this landscape. And he's been a longtime champion and advocate for important topics that matter to him, things like utilization of things like the agile methodology, but even more important about advancing gender diversity within the tech space. And that's one of the core things here that's been part of Torii and our culture here. Now, probably my favorite fun fact about Uri is that he's also the proud father of 3 Star Wars fans. And maybe you'll get a quick glimpse of that once we see the background for Uri today. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to you, Uri. Please take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure being here and actually very, very excited to share a few of our thoughts and my thoughts in personal about the industry, about SaaS management and where we're heading. But before we talk about the future, let's take a short glimpse at the history of IT. And also a fun fact, that's something that John actually forgot to mention. I actually worked at IT in the past. I was a system administrator. Well, it was quite a long time ago. I used to install software. I used to replace disk drive, memory cards, but this was back then. And I can actually see how the history of IT has changed over time. And in high level, we're talking about 4 phases. We can start about talking about what we call the tech gatekeeper. Of course, IT has a long history before that, but what's interesting about this era is that IT were in control. They were kind of a gatekeeper, like someone wanted to install a software. Usually an IT person had to go to their desktop, to their cubicle, actually install that. You needed a license key, someone for IT had to go there and go to this person and set up this license key. And as I've said, we were actually started from days of hardware, we moved to software. But still, IT was in control. However, SaaS sprawl, though started before 2020, what happened in 2020 was COVID, which really accelerated the adoption of SaaS. Companies that could manage without many SaaS applications now had no choice. And the SaaS boom really escalated to across all organizations. This is the area where we call SaaS chaser. IT people started chasing SaaS. Like, what do we have? What are we using? How much are we paying? Like, let's figure out what's going on. The next area is what we call AI hunters. This is where we are at today. After we somehow managed to get some control over SaaS, now we have this problem all over again with AI. New AI tools, new SaaS application built on AI. Everything is AI, which brings a lot of a new set of problems. Which data are we sharing? What data those SaaS companies are using to train their data, right? It's a new problem all over again. And the future is where we want to be. The future is where we want to be tech advisors. It's not about chasing AI or SaaS. It's not about being the gatekeeper. It's about being the tech advisors. And I will talk about that. I'll elaborate about that throughout the presentation. So what we can say today that IT is stuck. Still chasing SaaS and AI, unable to dedicate time for strategic work. We are accountable for owning SaaS management, however, wrestling with questions of strategic alignment between competing priorities. So that's a bit of an history. Now I'd like to introduce you to what we call the SaaS management maturity stages. How we believe you should progress in order to manage SaaS. We start with the basic one, manual SaaS management, then go to the next stage, live repository, then actionable insights, automated app lifecycle management, and then where we want to be, strategic IT leadership. Now, let me walk you through each and every stage. This is the beginning, when everyone manages SaaS in some way. But this is the very beginning, what we call manual SaaS management. How do you know you're in this stage? You probably have some data that you update, probably maintain that in a spreadsheet like Excel or a Google spreadsheet. However, it's manual, and because it's manual, you only update it on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. And you spend a lot of time actually updating it, getting the data, asking people which application are being used, who are the owners, and then update the spreadsheet. And then when you finally have it, the next day it's all obsolete again. Okay, and then you have to do a lot of that work again and again, because this is everything here is manual. So what do you do at this stage? You start managing SaaS. And the basic things, like when colleagues and customers come to us and ask, okay, where do I start? We usually tell them two things. First, single sign-on solution. This becomes a standard, which is good, whether that's Okta, OneLogin, or using even like Azure AD, Google Workspace, or any other solution. At least start managing what you know. This is far from being complete, but what you know, at least that's managed, and if that's under the SSO umbrella. And then a very simple solution to start managing expenses is a virtual credit card, whether that's Ramp, Brex, Mesh Payments. There are many solutions for that, but that's a start. You get at least visibility on expenses. Next, is what we call a live repository. It's kind of the Excel, but on steroids. It's a magic Excel that's being updated automatically. Okay, you spend less time on gathering the data. Now you have time to analyze the data. It also allows you the visibility as well as answer basic questions like how many apps do we have? How many project management apps do we have? How much are we paying for sales tools and so on? At this stage, what you need to do is start integrating applications. Make sure IDP, SSO, HRS, HRMS systems are connected. An expense management tool or an ERP that's strongly connected to those systems. Start getting the data flowing, whether it's through API code or script to a one system, to this live spreadsheet. This is where you stop managing manually the data, but getting to the point that you have something live you can work on top of it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick minute here. And for those who are in attendance, there's a poll question that should pop up on your screen. And the question is, do you monitor for unsanctioned SaaS apps within your organization? This is something that Uri, as you're talking about, as we go through and we level up in the SaaS maturity, there are depths to SaaS visibility that we're trying to achieve, unlock those critical pieces of data. So the question is, how are you feeling about that effort in your organization? In terms of your ability to monitor, would you say no, and it's not recognized as a priority within the company? Maybe it's something you want to pursue, but you're having trouble getting buy-in. Maybe you say no, but we plan to in the near future. Could be yes, but we're struggling. And there's a lot of reasons for why that struggle might be there. Or yes, and we are reasonably confident in our visibility. Or finally, yes, and we are very confident with our visibility. If that is you, kudos, congrats, you're way ahead of the game. And I just want to mention, for those who do answer this poll question, you'll be entered into a chance to win a gift card, and we'll contact the winner of that gift card at the conclusion of this webinar. So take a look, and it looks like based on these results, a lot of people are kind of finding themselves in the middle of that section. A lot of it is around yes, but we are struggling, no, but we plan to. And I think for those who are struggling, there's a lot of reasons for why that can occur. Sometimes it's about the method of sourcing. I know for a lot of people, it's about digging through expenses. For other teams, it's that they're actually sending out surveys and trying to source that data. So that, Uri, maybe talk about that a little bit more, but that's a big struggle that a lot of people are finding, is getting these data into that live repository. But there are some solutions for that. Maybe we can talk about that in this next stage.
Thank you, John. Yeah, this definitely leads us to the next stage, which we call actionable insights. So shadow IT and getting visibility is a big problem. Yet, once you have some visibilities, you have a tougher challenge. Okay, what do I do with this data? Okay, you get a lot of data on what people, once you solve it, okay, now you get visibility. Now next, the next stage, actionable insights, is about understanding what to do next. What's the best thing to do from ROI point of view for managing my SaaS? Okay, this is understanding, let's say, where can I save money? Okay, there is an upcoming renewal. Let's act on that. There is an employee that left the company, but still has access to SaaS applications. Let's act on that. Those are what we call actionable insights. Still, majority of your time will be spent on executing those tasks manually, but that's a start. How do you achieve it? You move yourself from the point that you wanted to know what's happening to the point that you're looking at the data and making data-driven decisions. One of the biggest one is around renewal management, data-driven renewal discussion. And the easiest way to get to this point is invest in at least a basic SaaS management platform. We do have the Torii offering, the basic plan, which you can sign up to, which offer this basic visibility and actionable insights. This is stage 3. The next stage is automation. Automate the SaaS lifecycle. So you have visibility, you have actionable insights, but now it's about automating those actions. You have many tasks. Okay, how do I notify people on upcoming renewal? How do I handle offboarding? How do I get SecOps in the loop when a new shadow IT application has been discovered? Once you start automating that, you get less errors and you get more time to spend on strategic business initiatives. How to achieve that? It's about leveraging tools like Jira that you probably have, whether Jira, Fresh, or any other ticketing management system, but making it connected to your SaaS management system in a sense that those ticketing systems now understand SaaS. Okay, someone requested access to an application, right? Offboarding someone, let's create a Jira ticket to offboard them from a certain application. It's a very good opportunity to add automation, whether that's in-house automation that you build using scripts or a tool like Zapier or Workato, or take one of the advanced SaaS management platforms that have those solutions built in. This is where you actually get to the point that you manage SaaS, because you automate what needs to be done. Now let's go to the last stage, which is the strategic IT leadership. This is where we want our customers to be. We want you to move away from doing the actual tasks and getting IT to the point that it's helping the business. It's about strategic planning of the company's future tech stack. If at the moment you struggle so far just to understand what we have, now you can actually lead the company to the tech stack we need in the future. It's about helping the company, creating this partnership between the various stakeholders, creating this strong bond between IT, procurement, and leadership, being aligned with the business, providing them with the tools they need to achieve the business goal. So this is a real mind shift for IT. It's reframing the IT processes to think about them in terms of ROI. It's about presenting a clear plan for the future to optimize spend, increase efficiency, and reduce risk. This can only be achieved once the tasks that many of the IT team are struggling today are being handled in an automated way. And now you can actually bring back IT to where it actually should be. IT should help drive the business. IT serves a strategic and critical role in technology company because everything relies on the technology, and IT is the best function in the business to drive it forward.
Amazing stuff, Ari. So wanted to bring this to everyone's attention as we talk about IT transitioning into that strategic role. There is some nuance to that process. And this is where it's important to understand that when you're operating in a space with management, leadership, executive leadership, especially, it's important to understand the psychology. What makes them tick? What makes them pay attention versus dismiss the things you're saying? And maybe you've had conversations with leadership where you felt like you were speaking to a brick wall. And part of that might be about the language that you're using and understanding the things that they value. So this is actually a really insightful piece from Gartner that came out recently about how to build business value with IT. And it's really about what do your executives care most about. Now, we understand that everyone is different to a degree, but I think it's safe to say that for most executives, When we look at what they care about, it's driving business value, but specific forms of business value that can be categorized into these three different buckets. One is about the revenue or the value impact. They want to know, okay, how is this going to impact our bottom line? What money are we going to make for this? Can you identify those deliverables that are going to directly help value creation that's going to push this company towards goals? The flip side of that is understanding cost efficiency, especially if you're coming with people with more of a finance background. They're going to be looking for opportunities for how can we become leaner or at the very least smarter with the money that we are spending and prioritize the initiatives that are optimizing the costs and or resources. And I think this is oftentimes with that SaaS maturity, this is one of the really easy cases to make. We did a webinar last week where we looked at one of the first forms of SaaS sprawl, which was all about overbought applications. And we saw that the average amount that a lot of companies were seeing, like a lack of utilization with some of their primary apps, in cases of some of their most expensive applications, they were seeing only maybe 40%, 30%, 35% of those license seats were just going completely unused within the organization. So that's an example of how you can speak to the things that they value. And then finally, risk mitigation. This is just, fundamental to SaaS management, is that it's not just about what are the sanctioned apps, what roles are they playing, but what about those unsanctioned apps, the shadow IT, the shadow AI, the apps that are not being appropriately deprovisioned when someone leaves the company. There are so many different angles that you can take when having conversations with management about how to advance in that SaaS management maturity. You just need to know exactly what those drivers are for the individuals that you're talking to. And then bonus points, if you can actually measure the impact on those business critical outcomes, if you come with data in hand and you say, look, we take these steps, we invest in this way, here are real outcomes that we know that we're going to be able to see. People are going to pay attention. People are going to be motivated, and they'll actually want to partner in this process of becoming more mature in the SaaS management effort. So now we've got one more poll question, and that is, based on this conversation we've had, based on looking at this kind of maturity model, where do you see yourself? Where do you see your organization? And a reminder, enter for a chance to win a gift card. But this is something where everyone is probably finding themselves in a little bit of a different place, and there's maybe some overlap on the different levels. But generally, where do you believe that your organization is? Do you feel like you're at stage 1, where it's still very manually intensive? Maybe stage 2, where you have that live repository, but it's mostly about collecting the data. Stage 3, where you've got the data and it's really about deriving those actionable insights. Stage 4, where you've got those insights and now it's about actually taking that action based on those insights, hopefully through the use of automation that can really automate, improve those processes. Or 5, you're at that space of strategic IT leadership where you have the ear of the leadership. Or maybe you're not sure. Maybe this is still really messy. And so it looks like a lot of people, you're seeing a lot of people kind of in that stage 3, right around the middle, where you've got the data, you've got some actionable insights. And I think we hear that, or I think I hear this a lot from IT professionals, is that they have data, they have insights, but they're stuck doing reactive tickets and helping people turn their laptop back on or get into Google or their G Suite or something. And so they don't even have time to take these actions, and they need to be able to move to that next step where they can empower automation to help them with these actionable insights. What are your thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, I think that's first, it's a good trend. I think when we asked those questions like a year ago, it kind of like earlier in the stage, so that's a good result. And what we usually see with is a struggle in this stage is that, yeah, we talk to IT leaders and say, well, we know what we need to do, but like either they don't have the manpower to do it, because that's, there are many tasks to do, or they're kind of saying, yeah, we're doing that, but it's so error prone because the actions are still manual. So the dramatic shift actually happens between kind of stage 3 and stage 4.
Yeah, awesome. That actually relates to one of the questions that we've got here. But before we do that, I just want to bring everyone's attention to a couple of our upcoming webinars as we continue this Ignite series. Very excited about these. We're going to be taking a week off next week, but the following week, we're going to be talking with the Global IT Director at Torii about the gaps, mind the gaps, fixing the ignored problems of SaaS management. And this is specifically looking at how all of our organizations have accumulated technical debt. And some of that comes in the form of technology shortcomings, but also a lot of process shortcomings that result in a lot of extra busy works and bottlenecks and slowdowns that really shouldn't be there. So how do we identify those gaps? And then how do we bridge them? So really looking forward to that one. After that, we've got one with John Germain, who is the founder of Security Moments, and he's going to be talking all about a cybersecurity framework. He does consulting for a lot of SMBs who are looking to solidify that security within their organization, helping them do that. And then finally, we're going to be talking about data mapping for success. And we're going to be doing that with our very own general counsel, Liz, who is going to be talking through the importance of understanding what's happening with your data. It sounds simple, but it plays into a lot of issues of security and compliance. So very excited. If you want to register for those webinars in advance, you can do so at toriihq.com/webinars. Now, we have a couple minutes here. We're going to do some Q&A. All right, and so we've got one question here asking about, so they're asking about that transition that we've talked about at level 3 with kind of the automation. They're struggling. They don't have, or they're saying they don't have budget for necessarily automation tools. So what are some strategies they can take to start prioritizing those actionable steps to get to that next level?
Yeah, as a product manager, prioritization is key. It's always hard. I think it's about aligning to the business goals. So we're seeing two main trends. Is it about like cost saving, which is a big trend we're seeing now, or is it about automation of onboarding and onboarding? So I would first suggest like focus on one. Like focus on one. While you want to do everything, just focus on one, and then focus only on top applications. So if you cannot do a proper offboarding, so at least like make sure that everything you already have with SSO, that's at least configured, because that's also kind of the basic stuff that people seems to forget, but that they can do a lot even with the tools they have. So that's on the offboarding side. On the renewal management is about aligning processes, creating maybe automations through Slack on creating channels and reminders. It's a bit of like manual work there to do, but I believe that's possible to start building this habit that there are processes you can automate around SaaS management.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually relates to, so you mentioned there talking about the tools that you have and dealing with how do you prioritize. Got another question about application rationalization. Essentially, you've gone through this discovery process, you have visibility. We didn't talk about this too much, but what should they be doing in terms of rationalizing the tools that they currently have within their tech stack?
Yeah, it's first and foremost like identify what we have, and then finding usually those duplicates. Why do we have 5 project management tools? Why do we have 3 file sharing tools? Why do we have 2 recording tools for sales? So it's first about understanding what we have, making sure each tool is aligned to a business goal, and then walk it down from there. Now you have this map of application, the business goals, then you can actually question the business owners, why do they need it? And can we consolidate? Or maybe we need new tools, right? But this is really like doing this mapping. It starts bottom up, what we have, what is aligned for, then working with the business. Okay, those are the business goals. Let's go back from top down to understand what we actually need, which goes again next to, do we need to renew? Do we need to renew at a higher tier, lower tier? Do we need to replace a tool? Do we need to consolidate tools?
Yeah, absolutely. So you said something there that's, I think, really important. We talked here about how to get the ear of leadership, but there's two-way communication there that needs to happen. And you, as an IT professional, you are going to have more success if you understand what leadership is saying about priorities. And if you bring that thinking into that rationalization process, I think it just makes it all a much easier process, and it puts you in that headspace of, working in a reciprocal manner with leadership. But yeah,
That's spot on. Eventually, IT is one of the best partner for leadership to the business. And this is about being on the business, understanding the business, help the leadership drive the business forward. It's understanding the goals and doing like top down from there.
absolutely. Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Uri. We are out of time. For those of you who submitted questions that we weren't able to get to, we will follow up and we'll send some answers via email after the fact. But I just wanted to thank you all very much. I know your time is limited, your attention is limited. So you taking a little sliver of time out of your day, we do appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. And so on behalf of all of us here at Torii, we hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you.